teams back in action in regular season play, so that made a big difference for me. And we have a lot of headlines to get to, but it was a lovely weekend, Junie.
Connor Newt, how was your weekend knowing that your Kentucky Wildcats struggled against the Colonels of Eastern Kentucky, right down the road from Lexington? How was that?
You know, I was about to get to that. Devin Leary is not the guy so far. He just disappoints me. And then
Welcome to the SEC.
Yeah, I mean,
even though you played an FCS team.
Yeah, well, I mean, I enjoy watching them. I think Ray Davis was a phenomenal addition to this offense. And then, of course, the wide receiver tandem of Berrien Brown and Dane Key are always electric when they're actually getting passes. But with that being said, I was very disappointed in the Wildcats, even though they won. Then the next day, we follow it up with a Titans loss. So
tough weekend. Tough weekend. I had a pretty tough weekend as well. My Steelers got absolutely curb stomped by the San Francisco 49ers. I expected them to lose. I did not like that week 1 matchup, but I did not think it was going to be
a slaughtering
like that. But hey, listen. I'm doing a thing right now. Okay,
you're being honest?
No. I've been doing a thing, and I'm picking every single NFL game on the spread. All right. And last week, counting opening night with the Lions,
right,
I went 12-4 on the spread. That is 75% accuracy right there.
Are you hoping that the Steelers actually have that record this year too? Because it does not look like it will be that way.
It would have to be 12-5.
Yeah,
and I think point. and I have the Steelers in my preseason prediction going 11-6, and I have them losing to the Niners, so there's definitely space to grow. But we will definitely see about that. Also, we played our first round of Price That Parlay, which you can hear that at 7:15. We're going to run that back again. And guess who won some money?
With help from me.
Ya boy. Oh, okay. All right. Connor, you draw it for everybody. He draws the lines. And, again, if you want to figure out how we play, tune in again at 7:15. But my $20 parlay, the big boy parlay in the game, won. Eagles -4. Jags -4.5, which came down to the wire, by the way. Anthony Richardson almost spoiled that. Niners -2.5, easy money. And MTSU, easy money, 20.5. And I won about $280 because of that.
Well done, my friend.
Very, very good stuff on my behalf. Nick Keyser's going to have to try and catch up.
I never take any of this too seriously. I enjoy picking games, and I enjoy looking at contests and seeing why I pick them. But I don't nearly have as much joy doing these things with actual money, but I will act like it. So it is very fun to pick the games, Junie. I'm going to do this all season long, but I'm not going to put money on it very often, if not maybe at all. But we will get there to it. But I know for us, we want to get into something that has been dicey this week.
Oh, yes.
In college football.
Oh, I like
this. And I want to start off here with what Jay Norvell had to say earlier this week, because it got Deion Sanders fired up. Coach Prime and his entire program are lit ablaze going into this matchup for the Battle of Colorado.
Yes. Norvell, the coach for Colorado State, he did not mince words.
Nope.
When talking about Colorado's head coach, Deion Sanders. Here is Coach Norvell of Colorado State and what he had to say about Deion Sanders before their matchup this weekend.
Our kids are really, we had to do a bunch of ESPN videos, and it was great. I loved it. But our kids came out of those videos really with a chip on their shoulder. They're tired of all that stuff. They really are tired of it. And I sat down with ESPN today, and I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me. So, they're not going to like us no matter what we say or do. It doesn't matter, okay?
Oh, they're not going to like you. That is for sure. And his comments, Nick, about I don't care if this gets to Boulder, listen, I think he's going to care now, because here is what Deion Sanders had to say in response to Norvell, basically calling out Deion Sanders about how he was raised.
Yes, sir. I'm minding my own business, watching some film, trying to get ready, trying to get out here and be the best coach I could be. And I look up and I read some bull junk that Deion said about us.
Talk to us.
Once again,
talk to us.
Why would you want to talk about us when we don't talk about nobody? All we do is go out here, work our butts off, and do our job on Saturday.
Yes,
but when they give us ammunition They done messed around and made it what? It was just going to be a good game. They done messed around and made it personal. It was going to be a great test, a battle of Colorado, but they done messed around and made it personal.
Nick Keiser, what did they make it?
Personal.
They made it personal.
They made it damn possible and very personal for this entire matchup to be blown up. And what I love is that Pat McAfee and that whole crew down there in Boulder, Colorado, they have been lighting up everything around town over there, talking about how crazy this game's going to be. And with Deion and his enthusiasm and his approach to this game, it definitely is the game of the week now.
So right now, the line for that game, and again, this game is at Colorado, is minus 23.5.
It is.
And I was out with Jared Stillman at the Simmons Bank Open. I was engineering his broadcast yesterday, and he looked over at me and he asked me, he said, Junie, if you had to give Colorado amount of points, how many points would you give them? I said, minimum plus 35. I said, I would give them 5 touchdowns. After that comment,
which is generous.
It wouldn't surprise me anymore. I saw a tweet on Twitter that tried to do an alternate spread for Colorado minus 43, and he says, anybody got higher?
Yeah,
because
really.
that's how bad people are thinking that Colorado is about to lay a you-know-what.
Well, look at what they did. In week 1. I mean, if they do anything similar to that, it's going to be a shootout. And if it's not a shootout, they're going to – I mean, I'm not going to say a goose egg will land on the scoreboard necessarily, Junie, but it's going to feel like it, I feel like.
Well, here's the thing about Colorado is Colorado took on TCU in week 1. And what were the comments after the game? When Deion Sanders went on the Pat McAfee show, and they were talking about it because obviously them beating the reigning runner-up national champions last year, TCU, at TCU, they were making a whole bunch of headway.
Yeah.
And so he told Pat McAfee that apparently the offensive coordinator, I don't know the offensive coordinator for TCU, apparently when he was at another school, he took Shadur to that school's camp.
It was for
and that offensive coordinator just completely ignored him, and he used that as fuel.
Yes.
Following game, when they played Nebraska, Matt Rule had made some comments about Deion Sanders, nowhere near to what Norvell just did for Colorado State.
No.
But still, they used that as fuel in a game that was supposed to be a rivalry in a close game for Colorado, turned out to be a huge blowout. Why in the world would he do this?
I don't know. And I feel like this could be a theme week in and week out. And I think it's going to be interesting to see which coaches actually continue to kind of either clap at him or if they're going to have clap backs, because I feel like Deion's not going to be the one that is going to go out and bait someone necessarily. I feel like all the attention that they're getting, they love it. And they love it for a good reason. It's generating money in that community to get that attention, to come to their games, buy their school, logo on everything imaginable. And so for Colorado, this is a huge money pile for them. But at the same point in time, I'm not sick of it yet, but I'm worried I will be sick of it at some point. I don't know where I draw that line in the sand, Junie. But, I mean, look at what that does. Like you said, the word is fuel for Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, and he's always doing his own thing.
Well,
so
and that's what they're doing here is they're adding fuel to the fire. They're adding more publicity to this matchup because College Game Day is there because there's not a lot of good matchups this weekend. So they decided to go to Colorado. I mean, did you see the setup? I mean, they had First Take out there. They had the Pat McAfee show out there.
The Rock was there.
And The Rock was there. Deion Sanders brought out the sunglasses to his whole team.
He even gave him the Pat McAfee,
gave
too.
Gave them to all the broadcasters, too. They are hyping this up. This is like one of those lower card fights when you're watching UFC or boxing. And, some of the guys are just, talking a bunch of mess just to add some more fuel to the fire, to get more people engaged and wanting to watch the fight. That's exactly what this is.
It is.
And I think it's going to backfire tremendously on Colorado. So that's definitely something to look forward to. Coming up a little bit later, we're going to be talking, Vandy at UNLV. Vols are going on the road as well, taking on Florida. Keiser, you got to watch the rookie showcase game for the Nashville Predators. We're going to talk a little bit of Preds as we are almost about a month away from the Preds season
Less than,
coming
really.
back. But Coming up next, we know what the big game is this weekend. The Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert are coming in town at Nissan Stadium to take on Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans. We are going to get into that game coming up next and how we are feeling about it early. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad. It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Dominic Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
1 week only. Electronic Express has massive sales on Overstock, Open Box, and Scratch and Dent products in every department. 4K TVs, laptops, tablets, housewares, Bluetooth speakers, and more. Hurry into Electronic Express for up to 60% off Open Box major appliances. Plus, get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Find a store near you at electronicexpress.com. Locally owned and operated. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
It's Raymond and Austin. We're back on All-Star Sports Radio. Celebrating their 30th year, our sportsbook and casino sponsor, BetUS.com, is offering a 125% sign-up bonus plus up to 30 risk-free bets.
It's called Bet Protect, the perfect offer for crazy plays, like the famous butt fumble. It's the GOAT of embarrassing plays.
Really, remember when you bet me you could do a live show with a GOAT as your co-host, and he face-kicked you?
Thankfully, I didn't take the under on that one.
Anyway, folks, get Bet Protect today. The industry's biggest 125% sign-up bonus plus up to 30 risk-free bets. BetUS.com, where the game begins.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event next weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Verragio, the world's premier designers, will be showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
See the latest from Verragio, handcrafted on Fifth Avenue in New York by true artisans with unmatched attention to detail and the highest quality standards. Verragio is the only ring that can be customized for every woman's specific desires. Come explore the entire Verragio collection at Genesis.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Next weekend, September 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Take advantage of special incentives, zero-interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. Only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Be sure to subscribe to the Riddle and the Reporter podcast on Apple, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Play silly underdog picks for your chance to win weekly prizes. Make your picks today at thegamenashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app before the first game on Saturday. Silly underdog picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket and Superbook Sports. Welcome back into Riddle and the Reporter. Junie Riddle, Nick Keyser here live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studio. We got a big game this weekend on Sunday, and it could be a deal breaker early in the year
for both teams.
For both teams, and that is the Los Angeles Chargers coming to Nissan Stadium to take on our Tennessee Titans. Your early thoughts on this matchup? The Chargers are favored by 2.5 points as road favorites. So the Titans are home dogs going up in week 2 after their week 1 1-point loss to the New Orleans Saints.
Well, it certainly makes sense. And after a disappointing game in New Orleans, it's not encouraging for the Titans to come out of that, especially if you're Ryan Tannehill with the 3 picks. He wanted nothing to do with talking about the game yesterday. And reasonably so for his sake. I understand where he's coming from. You've got to address it and say, I know what I have to do better. And you are right. The Titans are plus 2.5, and the over/under on this game is 49.5. And now what stands out to me, and I'm going to throw this in there, and I think this is where I want to go with it. Not spotted today at Titans practice. DeAndre Hopkins was not there. Amani Hooker and Peter Skoronski. And we have two official players that are out. You have Amani Hooker and Christian Fulton, who are out. So already key pieces. Amani Hooker had a huge game in New Orleans last week. Dylan Rainitz is also going to get into some game action. That should be interesting to see what kind of reps he gets. Interested to see what he's going to be able to do. But look, overall, if you flip it on the other side, the Chargers and their coach, Staley, this is a huge, huge game for them as well, because they were hyped up to be this big team, and they've been very disappointing, and I think it started in the back half of last season, and now they started off the season on the wrong foot, and so now they come to Nashville, and they know they can take advantage of this Titans defense when it's a little weak, but not all the way weak. And also, I feel like D-Hop is going to play, Junie, personally. I think he will. Even though he was out this week and did not practice, I feel like he knows enough, and he even sat down with Tannehill this week and said that they watched film together. They went through those mistakes. They know what they want to work out together. Whether that's to be seen yet or not, I guess we will find out on Sunday, but I think the biggest implication for me in this game for the Titans is this is going to be a gritty game. You got to play to your style, and we don't need a Mike Vrabel special game necessarily because it's so early in the season. It very well could be. I don't know. But for me, when I'm thinking of how seriously Vrabel needs to take this matchup, it's going to be a gritty game, Junie. That's the way that I see it for myself.
So here was TD earlier today talking about the keys for the Titans to win this matchup with Robbie and Rexroad.
Ron Davenport with us here on Robbie and Rexroad. So TD, we saw the Titans defense last season play pretty well against Justin Herbert and this offense. What's the key on Sunday in your mind to the defense having another good performance and giving this team a chance to win against the Chargers?
Yeah, I think it's going to be able to defend the run with 3 or 4 guys up front. And you want to be able to, do that because if you could, have 3 rush and 8 drop in pass coverage or 4 and 7, whichever formula, then you'll be okay. And I say that because this team last week, 40 rushes, they are going to run the football if the opportunities present themselves. And when you're using 3 and 4 man fronts, those opportunities do present themselves. So I think it's going to be able to do both things at the same time. That's going to be the key for the Titans defense.
So that was Ron Davenport talking about what the Titans defense needs to do to stop this high-octane Chargers offense. And if you didn't get to watch it, the Chargers-Dolphins game was probably one of the more entertaining games of Week 1. Dolphins wound up winning 36-34. But really, I feel like if the Chargers had a little bit more time left on the clock, that they would have marched down and kicked the field goal and won that game. It was that tight of a game. And two of the better offenses in the league. But I want to get into what TD was saying here about what the Titans need to do. And for me, where Ryan Tannehill does in this game is going to speak volumes to me. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you look at the injury report for the Titans, we're talking about no Austin Eckler, who had a massive game on offense for the Chargers. But on the defensive end in particular, Joey Bosa's status is in the air, and a guy that not a lot of people are talking about, but I said it to Willie yesterday, I said it to Jared yesterday. Eric Kendricks is doubtful, and this guy is a great off the ball pass coverage linebacker, a guy that probably would give Chigakonkwo fits because of his versatility that he has. He is doubtful as well.
If they even get Chig involved, though. But it still is someone that will give the Titans a problem if he does play.
Yes,
and
he's a very versatile linebacker when it comes to the passing game, not as much the run game. And that's kind of what I want to get into, because the Dolphins, when I went back and watched the film, because I watched the All-22 on the Titans and Saints, and I also watched it on the Dolphins and Chargers as well. And the one thing that I'm looking at here that there's an advantage is when the Dolphins wanted to run the ball up the middle, the Chargers seemed to play the run very well. And the Dolphins as a team, I believe, only averaged 3.5 yards a carry. But the key to this, though, is the outside. The way Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack on the edge sets that edge. They did not do a good job on outside zone runs, outside of the tackles. They seem to really struggle in that aspect. So what I need to see from the Titans in this matchup is, one, to establish the run, but they need to get Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears to the outside. And I think if they do set up the run, that's going to open up a lot of different avenues in the passing game for Ryan Tannehill.
Well, and it certainly will. And just to go back over here on the Chargers for 1 second, too, Teron said all of that before we knew Austin Eckler would actually be pretty much in big question to even play in this game. That they I would say their run game is still established, and it's not something that you necessarily wink at and go, they're just there. But I think overall, Junie, for the Titans' sake, you're exactly right. They have to find that rhythm to their game. I feel like that they struggled with that last week, and if they can get in a rhythm offensively, especially, we already know the obvious of Ryan Tannehill, but for me as well, not that the snap count necessarily matters too much, but Tajay Spears, finishes the game over Derrick Henry in the snaps, and so. Honestly, and it was interesting to hear Derek say this week he's not concerned about that whatsoever. And so for him, I think that's a good way to look at it, but I want to see him more involved. I really do.
Well, I get what Derek was saying, because Derek is pointing out that, the Titans were behind the sticks.
It was their game plan.
Second and long, third and long. No, I wouldn't even say it's their game plan, because, a couple guys were jumping off sides, a couple penalties, a couple sacks.
There was that.
I mean, it's hard to put Derrick Henry in second and long and third and long situations. And that's probably why Tajay Spears got a little bit more. But I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
This offense clearly was out of sync, because Derrick Henry was not a focal point of this offense. Listen, we know what Ryan Tannehill is. Ryan Tannehill is not going to put the team on his back week in and week out and carry this offense to victories. No, he is at his best when he has the play action, when Derrick Henry gets rolling, and that creates more defenders in the box, giving his receivers more space, getting yards after the catch in one-on-one situations. That is how this offense flows. And when Derrick Henry, I believe he only got, 5 touches in the second half?
Yeah, it was not very many.
It was not a lot.
Not very many at all.
And for me, I think, again, we can go on and on about Derrick Henry not getting the ball, which, again, I think, Tim Kelly in his press conference, he came out and said, yes, Derrick Henry is going to be more of a focal point. We kind of got away from ourselves in that Saints game, but man, Ryan Tannehill's got to be better.
Yeah,
I mean, it was awful.
It was not good, and I don't think we even got to see. Tim Kelly was teasing a lot of this new style offense. He was teasing some different things that we would see, and I think we did see a couple of things and a glimpse of what he's capable of doing. Some of the play calling that was very interesting to me. The best one for me, as I was sitting with my family eating Mexican on Sunday.
Oh, that sounds great. Was
the flea flicker. And that play was beautiful all the way up until you saw where the ball was at the very end of the play.
Well, it was that play along with the one where Tajay Spears was on the left side of the field, wide open.
Oh, my gosh.
And again, he sailed it. There was even one, I believe it was Tannehill's first pass attempt. And again, I got a bunch of notes on this.
Yes.
I wrote, first offensive play. Tannehill makes one read to Chig in a 5-yard curl route, which was missed.
Mm-hmm.
And Traylon Burks was going up the far side of the field. And the way, and again, he wasn't open when he threw it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the DB who was on him in his hips, and the way he was looking at Tannehill, he was watching Tannehill's eyes, seeing that he was throwing straight to Chig, who was heavily covered, by the way.
Yes, he was.
So Tannehill had already made the read before the snap, and he was going there regardless. Traylon Burks if you would have thrown that up, the safety didn't have the angle. He was held on the hash by Tannehill's eyes being locked at the cheek. If he throws his hips and he throws it up to the back of the end zone, Traylon's right there. First play of the season.
Right.
Is a touchdown.
Another thought, and maybe we can kind of go into this some next segment, but how predictable do we think Tannehill is at this point in his career? And not that he is on every aspect of his game, but when you play as long as you do, the other thing I have to go to is how much wear and tear is he capable of taking? Because throwing 3 picks, losing your confidence, and not being there as much as you were a long time ago physically, I think that does a number on you as a player in the NFL. And look, not that he's the same age as Ryan Tannehill, but I don't know. But for some reason, I went back to the quarterback series of the season 1 when it came to Marcus Mariota and just what he went through in that process last season as a starter. And I feel like it's eerily similar to what is going on with Tannehill now. Not necessarily a good start. It's on the contrast of he's not having a good start. What is this going to do for him now?
615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We are going to get into the Ryan Tannehill conversation because there have been a slew of takes about the Titans quarterback. We're going to get into that next. Nick and I's opinion on that. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
You need to give Ryan Tannehill a 2-year extension.
There haven't been too many coaching changes for the Predators.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I think that's what the Titans need.
Players who can score.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We got a good thing growing at the Nashville Fair. We offer nightly music, wrestling,